We're running a few minutes late this morning, so Carol and I are going to cut out some of the fluff, which is us, and, and get y'all right.
It's good stuff. You aren't even miss it.
But we just want to take a minute to say thank you to, this is the third year that we're doing this conference. Carol and I were talking, and I think the first year we were kind of like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. We looked over the cliff and said, let's jump. We did, and we have been so incredibly blessed with the support of many, many people in our community. They're in your program. We're not going to go down the long list, but Judge Wolf and the county were key among those in offering this beautiful facility to us to host the community to this conference. We want to also thank Mike Fresher and the Tobin Center for providing the staff and providing the facility. They've been wonderful to work with. And St. Mark's Episcopal Church, where Carol is, and First Baptist Church. It's a neighborhood event here, and so everybody plays a role and does their part.
We have, each year we've done this, we've tinkered with the schedule a little bit, so I just want to quickly tell you about the schedule. We have a plenary talk this morning, and we're going to hear from a couple people, and then we're going to break into workshops for the rest of the day, and so this is an opportunity for you to hear and pick topics. We've had a really great response to all the workshops. They're all full. If you didn't get a chance to sign up for one, please go to one, and we'll see if we can squeeze you in. Please be understanding if it's pretty crowded. There will be a workshop in this space for most of the sessions, and so there's obviously a little more space in here, so we hope that you'll come to one of the workshops. There are restrooms throughout the building. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to grab one of our volunteers in a green shirt or one of the Tobin volunteers in they have a Tobin placard on. We hope that we can inspire and educate and help all of us to become activists for those who are experiencing mental illness and for bringing together all of the players in our community to advocate for change and for wholeness and for healing.
And the first speaker today we have is Henry Lozando. Henry is coming to us from Washington and California and around the country. He was special assistant to George W. Bush and has worked in many aspects of government, a lot in, with families. And besides that, we want to wish Henry, he doesn't know this, we're going to wish him a happy birthday today. Today's his birthday, and right after this, he flies out, I hope, to a big birthday party.
Should we sing?
Yeah, shall we sing? Henry, come on out.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Henry. Happy birthday to you.
I hope that was a good introduction for you, Henry.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you both. My honor to be here. Boy, this is the first birthday party of this size I've ever had in my life. It's an honor to be here. Family name, Enrique Eduardo Quintana Catalán Lozano, el segundo en su servicio. Yep, write that down. Mom and dad, traditional names. I'm an Apache Indian, mestizo Mexicano, but now on my dad's side and Apache on my mother's side, and I've been blessed by a gracious Savior that's kept me all these years. Your conference and the essence of what you're doing here today is an imperative, not just for your hometowns, your churches, parishes, synagogues, temples, mosques, but for everyone in the community, for everyone in this great nation, for everyone in this incredible world. The United States of America has come to a position where it understands at least the practice of what you know, technically. And I'd like to commence this by saying, I grew up in a home with a general, my father, Henry Lozano, Sr., rancher, 11,000 acres. You think this is hot? You go live in the Imperial Valley in the summer, this side of Mexicali, Mexico, and you're talking 120 to 125 degrees in the day. As a ranch kid, my mom always said, we melted, that's why we were short people. And I believed her. Okay, Mom, we're melting. It was hot out there today. My mother was la generala, the general. And mother was the commander of the ship. My mother was a curandera lady of the Apache tradition, Mexicano tradition. And so we always had women outside the door that were waiting to sit down with my mother to receive her words of wisdom. Quite what all of you do on a daily basis. Analyze, understand, diagnose. Mom's world was in a spiritual world, but what a precious woman. And she must have been doing something right, because there was always women outside the door of our house. In my life, therefore, I grew up as that. And as firstborn, my responsibility was to understand the position I played in the family. And to be an honorable son was the most important thing for my dad and my mother and my uncles and aunts, who all lived in the Imperial Valley with us. There's a term, substance-related addicted behavior. And in that context, I found 9 years of my life lost. Now, this isn't anything new to any of you, but I was going on to junior college and then on to San Luis Agribusiness College, and I was going to get my degree and come home and be rich like Dad. And somehow, as you know well, that disease captured me and turned my life around. What I do want you to know is the planning and genetics inside of me from my mom and dad did never, ever, ever give up. In other words, I was constantly battling this thing that I was raised with as a good agri-boy and an FFA kid, that you go to work every day, 7 days a week. So it didn't matter what my issue was and how addicted I was on opiates, I went to work every day. Because what I wanted to see was a smile in my father's eyes, the smile when I came home in my mother's eyes, even though for 9 years they knew their boy was an addict. It was a severe issue. And in that time period, the typical, and I'll close this part, the typical jails and prisons and federal penitentiaries that this young man went through. So that it makes sense to you why I've received 4 presidential appointments through President Clinton in 1998, all the way through the years to the end of the Bush administration, because I rolled right over. I served the White House for 11 years direct, but I started serving with President Reagan and Nancy Reagan way back when I had the privilege of creating the Red Ribbon Campaign for this nation. They became the honorary chairs in a national partnership that existed across this country of parents, got together in Washington, D.C., and launched this incredible deal. California was the first state. How many of you have ever heard of the Red Ribbon Campaign? A lot of you. California was the first state in the United States of America that had a comprehensive campaign, and I had the honor of directing that as the CEO of Californians for Drug-Free Youth. And in that context, I was paying back to my country, my people, my family, the reality of my lost time and my lost life. And in that context, there had to be what you're phrasing and terming and posturing. There had to be esperanza, hope. In other words, we can be lost on a trail in any state and not have el corazón adentro con esperanza, the heart inside of hope and with hope. Esperanza is an interesting word, from a Spaniard term all the way to the Spanish term. Esperanza is an expectant hope. In other words, something you look out with your eyes and you see someone that you know you may be able to help, or they come in and sit down, as I was a drug counselor in the state of California for years, that they're there and you know you can help them. Well, some of us, like me, just didn't listen to the rules. And I had all these gang kids that were coming in, and because of my background, wanted me to be their counselor. Well, I think I went about 50% over caseload reality. And you know what happens when you do that? You still got to do the books and the counseling records and identify all of that. And boy, I was up to here with gang members and up to here with technical realities that I had to participate in and therefore document. In that context, what drove me was their eyes. That look from these young people that were talking to a counselor in the Department of Alcohol and Drug Programs and that understood their reality. Now, you know this better than anyone. This reality was that these young people and adults that I worked with actually came in, and very few of them missed appointments. That said something to me. Esperanza, hope, expectant hope. And within that context, I understood clearly that this whole reality of my mother being what were called a healer person in the tradition of that medicine, that you, all of you, are on a path. But a path has to have path makers. Someone has to go out and make that road, champion that journey, understand the specifics of what you're doing and why you're doing it, and what the technical realities are. And the DMS-5. My point, you are the pathfinders. Every person in this room today are the pathfinders for that path to hope. Y ustedes son las personas. You're the people. Cuando llegan esos que necesitan ayuda, when those folks come that need help, que tú vas a estar ahí, you're going to be there, y tú vas a ayudar, and you're going to help. Pathfinders, hear me. This time in our country is a time of complex realities. In the field of mental health, drug abuse, 72,000 that I understand is a current report of opiate deaths last year. 72,000 souls gone. Y por eso te voy a decir, and that's why I'm going to tell you, that my path of hope was walking through a door, and this was just my path. I just got sent there after prison. It was an organization called Teen Challenge. How many of you ever heard of Teen Challenge? So I'm a graduate of the class of 1974 of Teen Challenge, ended up staying there for 7 years, ended up directing the third largest teen challenge in the world in Riverside County in the Benedict Castle. Just knowing that someone cared about me, that there was a living, from my perspective, a living faith, a living truth, a living reality that I could commence with, and to find that hope, and to find those folks that were around me that were sitting in positions of counselors, helping me, advancing me, so that you can probably tell I've never left Teen Challenge. I'm still an advocate for them around the world because Teen Challenge today is in 111 countries. And I've served under different precedents and different capacities to advance the reality that we cannot miss faith in this equation of health and mental health. That we cannot miss the churches, the temples, the synagogues, the mosques. We cannot miss the reality of their value. And therefore, healers like my mother, all of you, understand que tenemos andar caminando en este path. We have to keep walking in this path. Tenemos hacer eso. We have to do that. That's what my mother would say. My two people are gone, Mom and Dad. Every president, and I'll close with this, every president that I've ever served, I've gone home to my mother and father as a traditional firstborn to seek their permission, guidance, etc. And most often, my parents said, you're not going there to work for them. You're going there to pray for them. Y con eso vamos a comenzar. With that path of engagement, I pray for all of you. During this time, this conference, this engagement to learn about each other, to engage in the workshops and the process, I thank the leaders of this venue for taking the ambitious step to say, you folks and this reality are critical to our great nation and your communities at large and churches, parishes, temples, mosques, synagogues. Con mi corazón, with my heart, adelante, forward, Pathfinders. Muchas gracias.